Hi, my name is Codename Gauna, and today we're going to go over the hacking and tools that went into the creation of the Sonic Generations episode of Boundary Break. In almost every instance of game hacking you see, there are tools behind them that make that possible. The tool in this case is Cheat Engine. Cheat Engine allows for real-time modification of the game's memory and programming and makes it a real powerful tool for just having fun or doing things like seeing the often unseen parts of our favorite games. So what we need to do is open Cheat Engine and load up my cheat table for Sonic Generations. Think of a cheat table like a codebook that we can use to store things like cheats for a later time. So here in the cheat table we have a lot of functions, we have a lot of basic values, our velocity, our current rings, etc., time, lives, player coordinates, our current character value, and then we have our current camera values. So we need to turn this script on, and if we move around we can see that these are changing. These tell the position of the camera at any given time. So if we lock these, you would expect, oh, well, my camera would be locked in a position, correct? But that's not the case. So once we move into this position, if we click Allow Writes, it moves the camera to this position because the game stops writing to it. And once this is set, we can right-click any of these, set or change hotkey, and each of these is mapped to a hotkey. So if I go and I press that, / on my keyboard here, or my keypad, we can move it up and down. You can zoom in or move it left and right. But if you notice, the camera is always on Sonic, so that's one of the limits that we're stuck with this camera, which makes it quite hard to get exactly the angles you want. We can change our pitch and look and everything else here, so if we want to look left and look right, we can look left and we can look right, but we can only go so far. And that's because the camera always wants to stay on Sonic at all times, which is again another limit of this camera system in this game. Sadly, we can't move the camera exactly everywhere we want, but I mean we can get pretty close. Now if we undo all these, we can enable them so they're closer. And here we go. I mean, it's just that simple. Not really, because there's a priority camera system that's very tricky, and we had to do a lot of stuff to get around this. One of them is removing all the camera triggers in the game, so that way we only have to deal with one set of functions writing to the camera at any given times. So in Sonic Generations, as you're running, if you run into another section, it'll switch to that camera dynamically and away from the current camera that's behind the character. Now both cameras exist at the same time, it stops writing from one and starts writing to the other, making it notoriously difficult to pin down exactly what values we need to write to at any given time. So to make it simpler, we use a mod called 3D Erasures by PTKickass that goes and removes as many camera triggers as we can to make it a lot simpler to hack. In the links below you'll find links to the mod installer and a guide on how to use it, as well as the link to this 3D Erasures mod. So if you want to try this out for yourself, you can. So now we're back in the hub world, and as you can see, Cheat Engine is monitoring our camera values and they're changing as we're running around, which is pretty normal. But if I turn on Allow Writes, this doesn't allow these camera values to change. I can press and hold the button down and nothing happens. So what we need to do is write our own, is stop the game from writing to these values. So what we can do is right click, find out what writes to this address, click yes, find out what writes to the address pointed at this pointer, and this window pops up. This tells us that currently this function is writing to this address. So if we click replace, okay, you can see that it stopped writing to it. So we can click stop, and now just stops right into it. And as you can see, some funny stuff happens because it keeps switching. It still keeps wanting to switch the camera, which just becomes kind of problematic. But at least now, if we move our hotkeys around, everything kind of just magically works. So if you're doing this yourself, this might be needed for some sections, but not others. It just depends on what's going on and what's around it, and if the camera triggers are removed or not by the mod. Another thing you're going to want to do is click on Settings. And if we go to Hotkeys, we can turn these down to 0. Click OK. Oh, and we're falling. Let's exit the game. Yes. Go back in. And now if we move our hotkeys, they move very fluidly because it's pulling the key a lot to move it wherever it needs to be moved. And see how we moved back? That's because it moved to a different camera function. So if I move back to the left, it'll just keep moving like that because it resets the camera position back to 0. See? So what we're going to want to do next time is lock these, and next time we move it into position and it goes back to writing to that, it should keep that value at what you set it to. So it's important to lock these values. Now say we're done dealing with these camera values and we want to move our camera back, we can click on Advanced Options, right click, restore with original code, and that'll put everything back the way it was. And that's about it. A lot of work went into making this hack because of just how complicated Sonic Generations is. Special thanks to Shesez of Boundary Break, the fine people at Sonic Retro, Dario, and PTKickass for their Sonic Generations modding. This has been Codename Gamma. Have fun, and I'll see you next time.